Their message is simple. It's that sexual assault or contact on a commercial aircraft is a federal crime that will be prosecuted. The cases revealed at a news conference today involve passengers reporting assaults on two different flights headed to SeaTac. One was a January flight from London to Seattle on Norwegian Airlines, in which the suspect, Babek Rezapour, is accused of assaulting the passenger next to him, touching her inappropriately repeatedly, and forcing contact while she slept. The second case involves a March Alaska Airlines flight from Anchorage. The suspect, identified as Nicholas Matthew Stevens, a registered sex offender, harassed another passenger, made strange comments to her, and then began unwanted physical contact. Both men have been charged with abusive sexual contact on aircraft. Nationwide, the FBI reports a 30% increase in the number of these cases being reported over the past 4 years. And that's why federal agents have launched a new awareness campaign. It's something the airline industry is also taking very seriously and trying to establish new guidelines and policies to address alleged sexual assault in the air.
If you take into account where this might occur on the plane, if you're sitting in a window seat and the perpetrator is either in the middle seat or the aisle, you've now got to either climb over or try to alert the flight attendants to this with this person sitting right next to you. So sometimes there's just difficulty in alerting the flight attendants that this has actually occurred.
That there was Taylor Garland of the Association of Flight Attendants based in Washington, D.C. Her point there highlights the need for fellow passengers who might witness suspicious activity to also be involved in reporting it to flight staff, who will then immediately report it to airport police when the plane lands. Ultimately, the case goes to the FBI. Garland also notes that the last federal budget also directed the Department of Transportation to set up a special task force to look into this issue and come up with new updated guidelines industry-wide. Back to you.